Let's begin our business of shaping policy for today by bringing in our special guest. We have the privilege of hosting Professor Martins Emeje this morning, who is the Director General, Nigerian National Medicine Development Agency. Prof. Emeje, glad to have you join us on the next thing this morning.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here again.
Great. I must confess, you're looking African.
I'm an African. I'm a natural person.
Proudly African.
I head a natural agency. So
I love that.
We do our things naturally.
Great. Which is why you are the right man for this conversation this morning.
Thank you.
Good morning and welcome to the show.
Morning, my sister.
All right. The whole thing started with the president, signing an executive order to introduce zero tariffs or VAT on pharmaceutical products. Now, according to the Minister of Health, the essence of this order is to ensure that local production of drug or some of these pharmaceutical products are being boosted or strengthened. And according to statistics released, in the last 4 years, Nigeria has committed over 3 trillion naira on the importation of pharmaceutical products. How do you react to this kind of executive order? And then what might likely be the impact of this on local production of drugs in Nigeria?
Okay. In reacting to the executive order is only a professional duty from those of us who are professionals in this area, because I'm a pharmacist and I've been in this sector for upward of 25 years now, so I can speak with all authority, both in qualification, in information, in knowledge, and in practice. And I can tell you that based on what the country is going through at the moment, based on what the president Bola Ahmed Tinubu just met on ground as the president, this is one of the best decisions that have been taken as a solution finding for the immediate challenges in the healthcare sector, and particularly in the pharmaceutical area. As you know, there is no healthcare sector without the pharmaceutical, angle to it. That's why it is said, by a popular one-time Director General of the World Health Organization that the hospital without drug is without substance and credibility, because it is mere consulting facilities. So in terms of my reaction to what the president has done is to say that as an immediate solution to solving the problems that Nigerians are going through, in terms of lack of access or affordability of medicines, this is the best thing that can happen to us in terms of the executive order being put in place. Having the executive order is different from implementation of the order on its own. Like I told some other media houses, it is not our president or the ministers that are going to implement the order. It is we Nigerians, our brothers and sisters who run the pharmaceutical sector. They are the ones to implement the order. When I mean implementing the order, I mean when tariffs or excise duties or VATs are being removed. Yes, that does not automatically translate to reduction in prices if the players in that sector are not patriotic, because there are thousands of reasons that they can give in order not to make us enjoy the privileges or the advantages of the executive order that has been put in place by Mr. President, just as it is in so many other sectors, and maybe we'll talk about that as we go on, because I can say a lot. If you, when it comes to Nigerians, taking advantage of Nigerians, when there are things like this that are meant to cushion the problems or challenges that we all are going through. And you just tell yourself that what exactly is the problem of the man called a Nigerian. Because when policies have been put in place to help all of us, then you see people that capitalize on that policy to exploit the system. And I can tell you that that can happen in this case. I'm just hoping that it will not happen.
All right, before we come to the implementation of this order to ensure that once it takes effect, VAT, tariff, and excise duty are removed from pharmaceutical inputs, of course, citizens should begin to reap the benefits by having low cost of pharmaceutical products. But let's go to the reason why some of these inputs are imported. From active ingredients to packaging materials, they're imported. Even if the active ingredients have to be imported, is it necessary, or can the packaging materials be produced here?
Okay, that's a very good question, and I think I'm glad that you asked me this question, because this is my question really. I mean, this is the reason I went to school, and the truth is, it's even wrong for anybody to think that we can't make active ingredients in Nigeria. No, then I had no business going to pharmacy school. What did I study as a pharmacist if I can't make active ingredient? Active ingredient is the molecule that is responsible for activity. I'm just trying to be plain as much as possible so that everybody understand me. Active pharmaceutical ingredient, that's actually what we call drug. You see, when you see tablet or capsule or syrups, those are not drugs. We don't call them drugs in pharmacy. We call them medicines or drug products. The drug itself is what we call it, the pharmacological agent. That is the thing that heals you, that cures you. That is what is called the drug. And that is what we spend our life studying in school. That's what we spend our life now teaching and bringing new pharmacies to the community. Okay, so any pharmacist, and I'm not talking of masters or PhD holders, any pharmacist, bachelor of pharmacy degree can make active ingredient, but there are raw materials for making them. And the truth is that we have them in Nigeria. So we can make, there's no active ingredient that we cannot make in terms of skill to make them. But the infrastructure required to making them is what we do not have currently available. We'll talk about that. So whether it is packaging materials or it is active pharmaceutical ingredients or excipients. Excipients are the things that don't cure you. You know, I just told you now that what cures is the drug, right? The other thing that we put together with the drug are called excipients. They don't cure you. But without those ones, the drug cannot go to the place in the human system where we want it to go so that you can be cured. Okay? So when you see a white tablet, it has the drug and it has the excipients. Those are the two things it carries. Let me give you and probably shock you with this news. Nigeria is the largest producer of cassava in the world. The only country that competes with us is Brazil. Cassava has a lot of starch. And that starch can be used in making drugs.
So why has Nigeria not explored that?
Excipients. That's a different thing. We'll move there if there's time. So starch is an excipient that is used a lot in making drugs, right? So in making our drug products, in making our medicines. So it is the starch, for example, if you take a white tablet, it is because we have added starch to the drug that you can see the tablet in the way it is. Otherwise, if it were to be the drug alone, it would be too small for you to, so you can't handle. We won't be able to give you tablet in the hospital or in the pharmacy until we add excipient, right? Now, these excipients are also imported, just the way active pharmaceutical ingredients are imported. That's why if you look at the executive order, it says that VAT, excise duties, tariff is being removed for active ingredients, and excipients are also mentioned there. Okay, which means if you import these things right now, you are not paying this. And the truth is that the cost, the tariff or the excise and all of those is huge. It's a huge component of the costs that goes into making pharmaceuticals. So removing them is like government giving subsidy. You know, we all know what is subsidy in fuel, but I can tell you that what the president has done is to give subsidy in medicine to Nigerians. Let us say it like that so that people will appreciate what Mr. President has done. Okay, so that's why I tell people this, and I'm glad that the president put an expiring date to the executive order. You know, it's for 2 years. Because he also knows that this is a short-term solution to our problem. It is not a solution to our problem. The solution to our problem is when we make those active ingredients in our country, we make the excipients and we export. Because the people who we are importing from, they don't have two heads now. Do they have two heads? So why are we not going to make and export to them too? So this is for the fact that there's high cost of making drugs right now, and for which these tariffs is a huge component of this cost. Good solution, but short-term solution.
All right. Now let's unveil some of these critical issues. I like the fact that you're heading towards that. But before we do that, let me read to you what the Director General of NAFDAC said in this regard. She said, "Our manufacturers import everything except water." I'm sure that will be serious to you. Adding that the raw materials.
I know now, we even import water. We will not agree on that because I can.
No, she said except water.
And we import water.
You know,
are we not importing water?
I would love you to listen.
We import water now because you don't use the water. Okay, we are in Lagos now. Is it the water that is flowing that we use in?
Prof, just
pharmaceutical manufacturing?
Let me finish this
statement
so that you can react.
And all the things we use to treat the water are imported. So the water is also imported.
I understand how you feel, but let me finish the statement so that you can react to it at once. She said, adding that the raw materials, active pharmaceutical ingredients, and non-active called excipients are also imported.
Yes.
Now, the question is, it is on record that most of the drugs in Nigeria, about 68%, are being imported from China and India. Now, you just acknowledge that these are things that could be done locally. Why do you think it's been challenging producing these things locally?
Okay, and I will give many reasons, because I think I have, with all sense of humility and I'm arguably the most informed in this area, because I have I've had the opportunity of being the national chairman of pharmacists in academia. That is all pharmacists who teach in Nigerian universities and are researchers in research institutes. And within that period, I and my colleague, who was the national chairman of the Nigerian Association of Industrial Pharmacists, that is all pharmacists in the industry, pharmacist Ignatius Anuku, who were able to bring together the industry and the academia. And as a young researcher, beginning from when I became a researcher, I became the industrializing officer for my institute, then the National Institute for Pharmaceutical Research and Development, and I went around all the pharmaceutical industries in Nigeria in a bid to understanding all of this. So I can tell you today that there's many reasons why this is not working out. And let me quote a practical terms, a CEO of a big pharma industry in Nigeria, here in Lagos, what he told me when I went, when I and my team were studying this thing among pharmaceutical industries in Nigeria. We went to him and he told me, he said, "Prof, let me give you a practical example." And this just a couple of months, less than 10 years ago. And he said, ampicillin, cloxacillin, dry granules for reconstitution. We call it powder or suspension. It's in granule form. in powder form. That if you, I'm sure many people know, if you buy some drugs, you have to, they will tell you to add some quantity of water and shake before you start using. We call it dry granules, ready for reconstitution. So he said if you make that in his company here in Lagos, in his industry, that making one, by the time the bottle is ready in his company to move to the hospital or pharmacy, about 10 years ago, he said he would have spent 480 naira to make one.
That was 10 years ago.
Yes,
now.
That's about 10 years ago. Not now. It will be more than that now. Less than 10 years ago. But more than 5 years. Then he said, Prof, the same bottle containing this same product, we call it finished product, that was imported from India or China, that is in the hospital or in the pharmacy, and the patient is ready to buy it there at that time, was 80 naira. So the difference was 400 naira. His own has not gone to the hospital or pharmacy. So the pharmacist or the hospital has not added anything. This is just production
Cost of production.
costs from his own factory. So he now asked me, he said, Prof, if you are the one that is working here in this industry and you are the owner of this company, will you import or you will continue to make this product? What will be your answer?
All right. In answering that, from a business perspective.
So he told me that this his company, that it was running on diesel 24 hours. That it was running on diesel 24 hours. And that so the cost of that energy is in the product that it made. The cost of making water, I was telling you just now,
yes,
that even if you say that water is not imported, everything that is necessary to make that water into the form that is acceptable for human consumption or acceptable by the regulatory authority like NAFDAC is imported.
But the question is, why has it gone
this
to this? How has it gone to this level where it's so bad that some materials are available here? According to what you've said, and the facts are there that these raw materials are here.
Yeah, I just gave you a typical practical example now of what I saw on the field. The fact that a manufacturer said that, look, that most of the cost that is in this product is energy cost, is the cost of energy.
All right.
Okay, so that is a huge factor. Then too, the cost of, So now, if you remove the costs associated with tariff or excise or VAT, if you remove all of that, I bet you they will still complain about electricity.
So let's look at the long-term solution, because you talked about the removal of
Yes.
VAT, excise duty, and tariffs being
Yes.
a short-term
Yes.
solution.
Yes.
So long-term,
Yes.
besides electricity, what
Yes.
other factors need to be in place for local production to receive a huge boost?
Okay, so for me and for many of my colleagues, we know that the solution to all of this is research and development. And that's why we say it's research for development. It is research for development. There is no country in the world that makes serious impact or serious headway without research and development. Everything, you see, the fact that you are interviewing me is research, is outcome of research and development. That's why we are talking and people are hearing us all over the world. So it's research and development. So when we talk about research and development, we are not just saying that don't import anything. It is research and everything. Okay, can I go to Abuja now and trek? I won't trek to Abuja. I will enter vehicle. Car is a product, is result of research and development. Enter aeroplane. Research and development. So it is research and development. It has to be priority. In any country that does not make research and development the number one priority. It's not ready to develop yet. You will continue to import everything. And you see, as long as you are an importer, you are a marketer. What I mean by marketer is that you are a market for other people. Anybody whose job is to be importing things, right, is just a market for other people who are serious with research and development to continue to sell their own products. So, like I told my staff, I said, look, these 2 years that this executive order has come to stay, we will leverage. Why some people are angry in research, we are very happy. You know why we are very happy? Because I also have a practical experience. I'm a practical person, you know. That's why I'm in a practical agency. Yes. See, I and my team, is on record that we attracted the biggest grants that any group of scientists will attract to this country. Biggest grant, right? That grant included pharmaceutical equipment. Okay? Pharmaceutical equipment included importation of pharmaceutical equipment. Do you know the custom duty on the equipment alone? 450 million naira. That's the custom duty on the equipment. 450 million naira. So you can imagine the value of our grant. That was the value that was placed on it by customs. Okay? If government of Nigeria did not waive that 450 million naira, I would have simply written to the people who gave us the grant that we cannot afford, and the equipments would have. But we got all the equipment. I'm telling you one of the advantages of this executive order now. If the executive order was in place then, you know, we did not need to have gone to the Minister of Finance to beg her, was a lady then, to beg her to give us waiver. And it took us 1 year. It took us 1 year to get that waiver. It took us 1 year to get the waiver. So, but we got the waiver. Right now, any scientist who can win grant, that, because if you are a sound scientist, when you are writing your proposals for that is, and I'm talking of scientists who work on the bench, because it's not all scientists that go to the lab. There are scientists who, their own work, we call it soft science. They go around doing survey, interviewing people and all of that, or collecting data and all of that don't need heavy equipment. But for those of us who are pharmaceutical research and development experts and scientists or researchers that go to the bench, because even as DG, I go to the lab every day. So for those of us who work with big sophisticated pharmaceutical equipment, if you are writing proposals now, and we have started, within these 2 years, you are, one of the best things that happen to you as a researcher is this executive order, because you don't need to beg anybody for a waiver. You write your proposal. If you win that proposal, all your equipments will just come. Nobody will ask for. I have gone through the pain of seeking waiver for 1 year, so I understand the importance of this waiver. So you can imagine, therefore, pharmaceutical industries in our own client here too, who don't have this equipment. They don't have it because they couldn't, even if they could buy, the cost, the custom duty, all those things that have been removed now by this executive order made it difficult for them to get those equipments. Now they can also get and begin to produce the drugs here, to begin to manufacture the drugs here themselves. Okay, so for us, we will now begin to do innovative, think out of the box and see what you can do within these 2 years to use the space. I give you another example. You see the active pharmaceutical ingredients and even excipients. Because if you scientifically, when you do study, there are things we call reference standards. That is, if there's one that is already approved, is in the market, or is being used, as you are investigating new one, you want to see how it compares with it. Is it worse? Is it the same value? Is it better? To do all of that, we have to import, even as scientists, So it's not only pharmaceutical industries that import active pharmaceutical ingredients and excipients. Even as scientists, we import, and they are costly, okay? And you have to pay duties on them. Now, if our pharmaceutical industries are now able to get those things into the country, I can walk up to a pharmaceutical industry here in Lagos and say, I need 100 grams of an active pharmaceutical ingredient, and they will give you. They will be glad to give you, because when you see that when you make publication, you acknowledge them. When it leads to development of an innovative product, they are part of those that will be beneficiaries of the innovative product that you are going to get from all of these studies. So those are some of the things that we will get from this space that has been opened. But like I said, it is short-term solution. The long-term solution is that we must now begin to make research and development a priority. We must fund it appropriately. And when I say funding, I don't mean only government, because in most parts of the world, especially developed countries, you see, when you mention research, people don't think about government itself. They think about the private sector. And I'm a beneficiary of a private pharmaceutical company in the UK funding my research when I was doing my PhD. So the private sector here, they also don't see the importance of research and development. And there are so many factors, there are so many reasons they can adduce. And there will always be reasons why we will not do one thing or the other. There will always be reasons, okay? But if we accept to be patriotic, if we love ourselves, and I will say what I mean now. Please allow me to give this typical example, because it always hurts me. Once there is fuel scarcity, if you go to a filling station with 12 pumps, the 12 pumps were working yesterday evening. This morning, that fuel station, they will block 13 of the, they'll block 11 of the 12 pumps, and tell you the 11 have spoiled, they are not working again. So it will remain one pump. So it will now lead to, then you will see population, you will see people, then you will now see desperation. Okay? If you are one of those that is patient enough, like I always do, and you stay on that queue, when it gets to your turn, you see that young boy or young girl that is selling that thing will tell you it's only 20 liters we are giving everybody. But if you want me to fill your tank, bring 1,000 naira. This is practical thing that happened to us.
So this is cutting out sharp practices.
Yes. So this, what I just explained now, is it president that is tossing it? Is it minister that is tossing it? Is it National Assembly that is doing it? This attitude I just talked about now. So you can see that many of us who even complain are just complaining because you don't have the opportunity to go and misbehave yet. Because if we take, I usually tell people that if you plot a graph of corruption versus position, you get a straight line passing through the origin. The slope is the same. Because the man down there, his slope of corruption is the same as the man up there. Because it's the amount of resources that is available to you that is influencing your attitude. And this is just, I'm referring to area other than the curve. It's not everybody, because it's not everybody that is also a thief or corrupt. Okay,
all right.
We are not all like that. So, but the truth is, until we become deliberate as a people, that look, this is my country now, and this other person that I'm about to put into this, to put in harm's way, or to put in this serious problem, is a brother, is a sister, is a Nigerian like me. It's not from the space. When we begin to think like that, when we begin to see other countries as competing countries to us, then we will become better people. When you know, many will not want to hear this because they say truth is bitter. But if you have lived, like I have been privileged to live in other countries, young people from secondary school, when you hear young Asians in secondary school, I've lived here for years, if you hear them talk, you marvel. A young secondary school Asian, a Chinese or an Indian, who is telling you that, look, Americans think that they are better than us. They don't know we are better than them. You know, look at what this young person is thinking. But what do you think a young person in the secondary school in my country, his dream is how he can go to America?
Now, let's take a look at another aspect of this. You gave an example of the manufacturer who was having more cost in producing his medication as compared to foreign manufacturers.
Yes.
Now, isn't that supposed to even be an advantage in a climate where people assume that the cost of the drug is equivalent to the quality of the drug? When it's more expensive, some persons associate that when a drug is more expensive, it means that's very high quality. Shouldn't that have given pharmaceutical products made in Nigeria that advantage on the shelf? Because customers would think, oh, these very expensive ones will be more, will have more quality. What is the issue when it comes to preference? Is that also a challenge for the local manufacturers? Do we find discrimination? Do we find that pharmaceutical products, medications produced in Nigeria are discriminated against as compared to the ones produced outside the shores of the country?
Okay, thank you. No, cost does not essentially automatically translate to quality. Definitely not. Okay, quality is quality, and
But some customers
there are a lot of things about
think
quality.
that way.
Yes, I mean, see, let me tell you this. When you see people thinking that cost means quality, those people, my agency is not for those kind of people.
What?
Yes, those are the people who can afford now. Is it not people who have the resources that will be looking for a costlier product? So I wish there is time to discuss that, but I want to remain focused on this. See, people take care of themselves health-wise in this country. It is called out-of-pocket expense. You are responsible for your own health, okay? That means you decide how to be taken care of based on your resources. Over 100 million Nigerians, first of all, don't have access to these drugs we are talking about. Because I'm from a typical village where there is no hospital. And I can tell you that when people are sick in that village, right, they don't go to hospital because there's no hospital to go. You need to go like 15 kilometers from Agaliga to Okpo or Ankpa, where there is a general hospital, where there's only one pharmacist and probably no doctor, to assess that hospital. That is to see a doctor. Seeing a doctor is different from getting your medicine, because medicines are not also there. And I'm sure I'm not speaking in tongues here, because most you people, you are from villages and you know these things are like that in your villages. Okay? So when you talk of access and affordability, is not there. That is why, for example, government created my agency. Since we are not talking about my agency today, I will leave that aside. But that is one of the reasons why the agency exists, and it is the only agency, responsible for that. So these products that you have to pay to get them, it means that if you have two similar products and one is 10 naira, one is 5 naira, and what you have is 10 naira, you will not use the 10 naira to buy the 10 naira. You will buy that of 5. You will not talk of quality. You will buy the one that you can afford. That's a practical situation for you to take note in terms of the issue you just raised. Now, one thing that I think that we need to begin to discuss, to talk, and to teach it, since people since people are not growing up with this, we grew up. The truth is that some of us grew up with this attitude that your own is better than any other person's own. When I was growing up as a child, my parents made me to know that the food we are eating in our house is better than any man's food. So we never saw any governor or head of state that time as better than my father and my mother. Because no head of state was giving me food. No head of state was paying my school fees. That's how we grew up. Today, I'm sure it's not like that. So everybody wants to be a child of or relative of a big person. So there's a need for total reorientation. You see, if you make your own thing, there should be pride in it. There should be pride in the fact that this product is made in Nigeria. You know, a few days ago, all public institutions have been directed that we must patronize made in Nigeria. That is the kind of thing that will change our narrative as a nation.
All right.
Yes, because look, when we talk about medicine security means you are sure that the product you have is of the right quality. Right? That is the basic minimum explanation. And what is the best way to be assured of medicine security? It is that what's your name?
I'm Femi.
Femi.
Yes.
It is if Femi makes a drug ordinarily, I am Emeje, we are both Nigerians, I should be more comfortable. I should trust it more than a product that is coming from another country.
But that's also the concern here. When you talk about made in Nigerian products, the first concern is the issue of quality or standard.
Okay.
And let me direct my question to that area.
Okay.
Looking at drugs that are being produced locally compared to the ones that are being imported or produced abroad, in terms of standard, will you say that the local manufacturers here can compete favorably with the ones that are being produced abroad?
What is standard?
That's my question to you.
Okay, so what gave you the impression that the product coming from abroad is of a better standard than the one made by your brother here? What gave you the impression, if not colonial mentality? It is colonial mentality. The attitude of if it is from abroad is better than our own. So, which is how we all grew up. You know, our education is colonial education. So everything we need validation. How on earth will you be thinking? Who taught you? Who told you? Okay, take pharmacy as a profession. I'm a pharmacist. I went to school. I sat in the same class with people from different countries. In this country, B-Farm, at the Ahmadu Bello University Zaria, people from India, people from Cameroon, people from Pakistan, people from Ghana were my classmates. And I still taught the class. Me, from village where there's no hospital, no water, and what we drink was plants that my parents will cut from the bush. They will cook it in clay pot and we will drink, and our diseases were cured. That is what. And I still taught the class where there were Oyibo inside the class in this country. So who is saying that because that product it has entered aeroplane from abroad, that means it is better than the one that May and Baker or Evans or Emzo is making here in Nigeria? If it is not our colonial mentality and the preference for abroad things, that is a disease that is bedeviling all of us.
I think it's even beyond that. Hold on. Let me give you a good reference.
Define standard for you.
All right.
See, all of this I'm saying is to define standard for you. So the standard that you are talking about is the things that have been laid out by your colonial educators. Okay? Standard is that the specific items or parameters that a given material should meet in order to perform a given and desired activity is consistently met. That is what is standard.
All right.
So who says that somebody has to tell me how that standard is? Why won't we develop our own standard? We do it at the Nigerian Natural Medicine Development Agency.
Yes, let's come to that. In developing our own standard,
Yes.
orthodox medicine
Yes.
has grown and is widely accepted. Natural medicine, how do we get to the point of developing our own standard that it is first generally acceptable here in Nigeria, and then we can begin to export? Countries like India, China are making lots of money from natural medicine. What's happening to that sector in Nigeria?
Very good question. They are not making those natural products meeting your standard. They are making those natural products meeting their standard. Are you getting me? They are making those natural products meeting their standard. In fact, their traditional medicine have standard, and it is India standard. It's nothing called world standard.
So who will standardize
But you are
that
the
for
one.
Nigeria? What authority? What authority? What body?
Nigerians.
Is it NAFDAC to standardize that?
Oh yes, that's why we have NAFDAC. That's why we have Standards Organization of Nigeria. That's why we have research institutions like the Nigerian Natural Medicine Development Agency. All of us together are the ones to make. And standardization is not our problem. No, it is making it a priority. I will repeat myself, and I don't like repeating myself, because as you turn the question round, I will come back to the same answer of priority. Because in March 2023, just barely 1 year now, the WHO made India the global center for traditional medicine. $250 million US center. I was in India in December to inaugurate the Ayurveda conference. Right? Did India ask you for any validation? China does not ask you for validation. That's why I'm telling you, that is not the challenge. The challenge is, see, we have one. Okay, do I need to tell you that Nigerian intellectuals or Nigerian business, Nigeria in all sectors are the best around the world? It is at home that we do as if we don't know anything now. When we go out of are we not the ones that everybody look up to? Those of us who went to study in abroad, ask us now, we will tell you. Okay, so make it priority. Let the kind of donations that private sector, companies, research institutions, faith-based organizations, NGOs, all those donations they make to political parties, to people who are doing one form or one thing or the other, that they know that when they give them this money, there will be return on investment later. If they begin to invest it in research and development, you will change. Many of the studies of the school that we did abroad, and which our children are currently doing abroad, are being funded by private institutions and also government, because government is also a huge funder of health research. Okay, so there is the need for deliberate funding and establishment of foundations for funding the research and development in natural medicine. So, and when you say that acceptable, when you say how will you make natural medicine acceptable, what do you mean? Who told you? Let me tell you.
I'm talking about patronage.
Yes, which patronage? Let me tell you about the patronage, because I have the information more than you. You see, if
you're
not
the practitioner, so it's expected.
You know, if you are no, you see, many of you who have gone to school very well, you live in self-denial. And let me tell you how you live in self-denial. You know, you live in Lagos, Abuja, you live in Port Harcourt, you live in a building that when flood comes, it does not come near your building. You know, you enter aeroplane. When you want to go to places, you are privileged, you are educated, you are an elite. Okay? You eat breakfast, you eat lunch, you eat dinner, 3 square meal. In fact, you do starters and desserts. Over 140 million Nigerians don't have these privileges that I just mentioned. They don't. And please, what they use is our natural medicines. So if we are 200 million and 140 million people are not using the one you are calling orthodox medicine, Which one is more acceptable?
How do you know it's 140? Do you have the patronage of 140 million Nigerians at your agency?
No, because it doesn't have to be my agency. Natural medicine is not the property of my agency. You see the leaves, the barks, the roots that our people cut back at home, which is used to cure their diseases and their ailments. You see the people that go to do palm wine tapping and they fall down, or they play football and they break their legs and their hands and their bones scatter, and they take them to the homes of people we call traditional bone setters, and their legs and hands get well and they play ball again. You see the people who have serious diseases and infections, and they cannot go to hospital even if they want to go, because they cannot afford. Those people, they use what we call traditional medicines. Part of the responsibility of my agency.
All right.
When you put all of these people together, I am telling you, it's not less than 140 million of the 200. So the orthodox medicines that you are talking, please show. I want you to, if you have the courage, come and show people the local government, the hospital in your ward. You know, Nigeria, in terms of political delineation, we are all from different wards, electoral wards. Please go to your ward, take a picture of the hospital in your ward, take the picture of the doctor, the pharmacist, the nurse, the lab scientist that is on duty, and come and play it on this television. Let the world see it.
All right. Now let's shift the conversation towards the area of natural medicine. Now, talking about this order, how do you think those in your area of expertise can take advantage of this? Okay. I also want to make reference to what happened when COVID broke out in Nigeria. The bias against the local vaccines as against the foreign vaccines. I also want you to address that, the place of natural medicine in terms of the bias, and also addressing the kind of perception people have about local drugs.
Okay, thank you. First of all, let me rebuke and kill this thing you people are calling perception. Please stop that narrative on television.
But is that to say there is no perception?
Who are those?
There are people who would not want to use natural medicine. There are Nigerians. There are people across the globe who would not want to.
You are the privileged.
Whether they're a minority, but it still establishes the fact that there's a perception.
That's why we're having this conversation to address it.
Please. And this is one of the faults of the media, because the media is a very powerful tool to sending good or wrong narratives.
Hold on.
Please.
You hold on. If they are minority, it's a sign to show that these tiers exist. You might say they are minority. They belong to the minority.
That is why I say do not push the narrative of the minority. Why are you not pushing the narrative of the majority?
It's also important to have a better representation.
That's not representation.
So that
that's not a representation. When you are
the essence of having this conversation is that for an expert like you to dissuade that kind of impression, but it exists. We must not deny it.
When you say it, I am.
So it's for you to now set the record straight.
This is straight. It is not what you don't want to accept, and which I will.
No, that's why we asked you that question, so that you can set the record.
Because you are not listening.
No, we just have to situate it.
You are not situating it well. You are desituating it. Actually, that's what you are doing, and it's wrong. I tell journalists when they interview me, stop pushing the narrative that people don't want natural medicine. Because who are those people? They are the privileged people that you are interacting with.
Well, it doesn't change the fact that it still exists. That's what
you are a journalist. Why are you staying here in VI? Go to Ikonodu, go to Iberigwe, and do this program, and come and tell me if there's a hospital in Iberigwe. I have a center in Iberigwe. I'm only 1 year in Lagos, and I'm telling you, go to Iberigwe and come and show. Then interview people in Iberigwe. Then come and play it here. So when you say that the perception is that people don't like this thing, where is your study? Who did you interview? Who did you contact? Okay, that is because the privileged people who you interview, who you go to Ikeja Sheraton Hotel when they have program, that's where you meet them. A tea break is 7,000 naira. The people in Iberigwe, if you give them 7,000 naira, they will kneel down and greet you. So, and those are the people using natural medicine. We conducted a study within 6 months of becoming DG. We conducted a study to know the percentage of people that prefer natural medicine and are using natural medicine. The WHO said it is 80%. But when we did that study in Abuja, we got 97%.
All right. So, Prof, how do we get it to the remaining 3% by your study?
No, we will not go to the 3%.
Why?
Yes, because for over 100 years we have been serving the minority.
I like the fact that you acknowledge that they exist.
No, don't say. Please don't make it look like I don't know my.
No, I get you.
Don't tell me that you like the fact that I acknowledge when this is what I do. This is my 25 years in this business, and I can tell you exactly how it is. Okay, so the minority is a minority. Let me tell you, one of the things I have always said about President Tinubu's renewed hope agenda is that I like the word renewed hope, because it is when hope is lost that you are renewing.
All right. In line with that renewed hope.
Yes.
In line with that renewed hope.
Yes.
We know that there are some ailments that orthodox medicine is still trying to treat and hasn't gotten a breakthrough to it. Using natural medicine to renew this hope, what can be done now to ensure that that hope is gotten by some who may have tried and lost the hope?
Yes.
So that even the 3% can also come now. They're also Nigerians. Let's extend the love to them.
Please, it's not about showing love or not. Is it everybody that voted for Mr. President? Is he not president?
But he's president for all Nigerians.
He's president of all, but it's not everybody that voted for him.
Yes.
The same way even you sitting here now, it's not everybody that likes you.
Yes.
So the people that you know are the majority, you attend to it. You see,
okay.
If the way we give attention, the way we spend resources on this minority, if we flip it like this, we won't be where we are.
All right, so let's pay attention to them.
Why did we say that China brought out over 100 million people out of poverty in so number of months? Why did the president say that we intend to bring 100 million Nigerians out of poverty in so number of years? That is because you have looked at the majority, and that's what gives us the statistics. In science, it is majority. We call it area under the curve.
All right. So how do we serve this majority more?
In serving the majority, we must make research and development a priority.
Okay.
Once we agree that look, majority of our people do not have access to this, what should we do to ensure that they have access to it? We will start deploying resources into it. We will deploy resources into research and development. We will deploy resources into indigenizing our own drugs. That is, you stop importation of all the products that we can manufacture in Nigeria, that we can produce in Nigeria. Then everybody, for 4 months during COVID, I'm happy you brought up COVID. For 4 months, when COVID came, nobody moved anywhere.
If we stop the importation, can the manufacturers that we have, can they meet the demand?
When there was no importation for 4 months, the number of people that died in Nigeria compared to the number of people in Nigeria, compared to the number of people that died in Europe, are you aware? Before the COVID, are you aware that there was prediction on the number of the millions of people that were going to die? Why do you think people did not die? Many of you were forwarding messages of Oyibo telling you how to do steaming. Go to our villages. People, when they have malaria, when they have different kinds of, their mothers use steaming. Put plants inside hot water bucket, put towel on them, steaming, that we grew up with is what was flowing around during COVID, teaching people how to do. Most people in Nigeria did not. How many people got vaccine in Nigeria for COVID? Most people didn't get vaccine. Out of 200 million people, did 10 million people get the vaccine? How many of us died compared to developed countries that said that they are going to all die? It is why? Because please be honest with yourselves and tell people what happened that time. Did
right.
all of us return to nature? Did all of us return to nature and started putting garlic, ginger, this inside, and started sniffing, boiling, steaming, drinking? All of us. Did we do it?
Prof, in fact, that was why I asked that question, to acknowledge the role played by natural medicine as regards tackling.
No, I don't like the anywhere
now-
I see the this colonial narrative of orthodox medicine, I get agitated because it is colonial. You know, I'm a pharmacist. Please bear that in mind. That I'm a pharmacist. I study pharmacy. I have Bachelor of Pharmacy, best. Master of Pharmacy, best. PhD Pharmacy, best. So I am a Western trained pharmacist. But I also lived in Asia, China, Japan, India, 4 years. And I see exactly why you cannot use Western medicine to intimidate them in Asia. And that's why they are where they are today. We must move to that level. If not, we will continue in this slavery.
Okay, I asked a question earlier, which I want you to also address it, that this executive order,
Yes.
how can people in your constituency, now, whether I mean people in
Yes.
going into natural
Yes, in
medicine,
yes.
take advantage of it?
Yes, you know, I already alluded to that at the first instance. I said that we have even, like in my agency,
So that we
already
like you said, you've been in
commissioned
Asian,
Yes.
you've been in India, and you
Yes.
see what they are doing with
Yes.
natural medicine.
Yes.
So how can they take advantage of this order now
Yes.
to replicate or do more?
Yes.
In Nigeria.
First
Yeah.
example that I gave you was pharmaceutical equipment being imported. You know, that's a huge area in engineering. We are not manufacturing those kind of equipments. Now, we can buy equipment and we will not be afraid of excise duties, VAT, and custom because the president has removed it. So we are going to expedite that, and it's going to help a lot. Tableting machine, encapsulating machine, dissolution, disintegration, all those equipments, we can buy them now easily without at lower cost because of the executive order. Number two, remember I also told you that there's something we call reference standard. That is, you want to know if the innovative product you are making is as good as this one, is worse, or is better. So now that we don't need much money to get them, it will enhance our own research in this area. So for the next 2 years, for us, who people think that this importation has destroyed local research, no. It is only going to enhance our research, the speed and the scope of our research for these 2 years. But and that's why I said it is a short-term solution, because if you took advantage of this executive order like we are going to take, you get equipment, you get these APIs which you will use as counter studies or develop indigenous products and all of that, and you don't stop that importation, then you are not going anywhere as a country, because it has to get to a time that even if you don't stop the importation, you put tariff on it, on the imported ones, such that by the time it gets here, the cost of the imported one and the one locally produced will either be at par or is costlier than the one locally, so that there can be growth internally.
All right, let's look at local investors in the pharmaceutical industry.
Yes, yes.
How can they be encouraged to come into the pharmaceutical industry? How would they know of the opportunities there?
You see, I'm sorry to disappoint you by saying that they don't need to be encouraged,
Why?
because nobody is encouraging them before they are putting their monies in political campaigns, in different religious or non-religious groups or NGOs and all of that. Nobody is encouraging them. They know. It is because, I insist, our attitude, one, to our country, our attitude in terms of national pride, not having national pride, and then finally, the inordinate and the get-rich-quick syndrome, the fact that let me be the one that will enjoy the proceeds of this. In my place, in my village, at Agaliga, they say old men, they plant trees not because they want to enjoy the shade of the trees. but so that their children will enjoy the shade or that the tree will produce. Okay? So if we begin to think like that about the country, we will know. Let me tell you, everybody who is an investor in medicine sector is aware, they know very well that private sector is key to development of that sector in different parts of the world. Typical example, the COVID-19 vaccine, the AstraZeneca we used in this country, that came to this country. AstraZeneca is a pharmaceutical company. We call it AstraZeneca, Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine. Oxford is a public university, but AstraZeneca funded. So, is there any pharmaceutical industry that is funding any research? That is funding any research? So that is it. So it is deliberate. You have to take deliberate action. And for me, it needs decolonization of the brain. Because for years, this is the way that in both our education, way of working, livelihood and attitude, this is how it has been. So it is extremely difficult to remove this from the brain of people and make them to begin to think Nigeria. When we begin to think Nigeria, rethink Nigeria, rethink Nigeria, then things will begin to change. Because we will now begin to say, oh, I owe this to my country. I may not be a beneficiary, but this is what I will do. Look at many countries now, when people are going to die of terminal diseases. The person will say, my family has a huge money, $2 million US. I am about to die of disease A. I want that money to be given to a university that is doing the research on this disease so that it will not kill other people. That's what they do. That's how many of us get fellowships and supports and we go abroad to do studies. Our own. Are you sure the person who is dying is not even praying that this thing that is killing him must kill every other person?
All right, Prof. Let's take advantage of having you here to address I'll use the word, the misconception or the perception. You don't like the word perception, but let me use the word misconception.
Yes.
People mistake natural medicine for herbal medicine.
Okay.
Can you differentiate?
Okay.
And what has been your observations in this regard?
Okay. All herbal medicines are natural medicines. Not all natural medicines are herbal medicines. That's the difference. So traditional medicine is natural medicine. Herbal medicine is natural medicine. Aromatherapy, use of just fluid, is a herbal medicine. The one, all these apothecary, yoga, exercises are all medicine. If you come to my agency, there's a full department we call non-medication therapy department, where you will not see any drug there. You will not see any medicine there. But we can shine light. We have a facility that if we put it on you for 3 minutes, we will identify at least 25 different things in your body.
Without the use of drugs?
No.
That's
No.
interesting.
And we can come and visit us. And we can put on light, just light, and we cure different diseases. Yes. So this is natural medicine. So natural medicine means you are not using anything artificial. You are not using, when you hear active pharmaceutical ingredient, that is synthetic. When you hear natural medicine, it is not synthetic. It's not made in the lab. We did not extract what we call the structurally elucidated bioactive molecule. We didn't do that. A typical example, there's a Chinese herbal medicine called Artemisia annua tea, which has been in use in China for thousands of years. But when pharmacists and chemists like me went to the lab, we follow scientific procedure and brought out the chemical inside that plant that is responsible for killing the malaria parasite. It is called artemisinin. So you no longer need that plant for the artemisinin. You go to the lab and synthesize the artemisinin derivatives that is now used in our hospitals. It is now the active pharmaceutical ingredient. But that does not remove the fact that some people will not take that tablet or the injection. They are only taking that tea and their malaria is going. Because that is where you got the malaria medicine from now. Let me tell you, about 40 to 60% of the active pharmaceutical ingredients that resulted in the pharmaceutical products that we call synthetic or chemical products that you are seeing, they are from plants. They are from natural origin. From the soil, from the plant, from the marine life in the sea. The drug we get from the venom of scorpion or the sperm of fish is. Let nobody, people should stop saying that people don't like natural medicine. Who are those people that don't like natural medicine? Because you have access to money and you are going to Canada or America to go to hospital, or because you are able to go to teaching hospital or private hospital here, you are not telling us that people don't like. Even if they don't like, can they afford? Will you leave what you cannot afford? Whether you like it or not, you have to like what you can afford.
That's very interesting. But on a final note, how can we have more centers like yours, and how can we have more people benefit from this knowledge? There are people who are good in certain aspects of natural medicine,
yes,
but they've not been able to pass on the knowledge, maybe
yes,
because they didn't have people who come to learn from them, as we have some people go to school to study medicine. So how
yes,
can we get more people into the fold, have more centers?
Excellent question. In India, the way you spend 6 years to get MBBS, that's Bachelor of Medicine, Bachelor of Surgery, you also spend that number of years to get Bachelor of Ayurvedic and Medical Sciences. It's called BAMS. The same thing, okay? And they took time to develop it. In China, it is called Materia Medica, traditional Chinese medicine. You spend the same number of years, okay? We are getting to that. There was a time a minister of health in this country called Professor Christian Chukwu, I think from Ebonyi State. He even started it. He set up a committee that natural medicine or herbal medicine must become part of the curriculum of training medical doctors, pharmacists, and nurses, and all of that. We have received accreditation at the Nigerian Natural Medicine Development Agency from the Federal Ministry of Education to the National Board for Technical Education to begin national diploma in natural medicine. We must go that way, because if we are able to start training people to become professionals in this area, then I won't be a lone ranger. Do you understand? You can see even on this desk, I'm a minority. Because you
are not a minority.
So that is the truth. So we need, right? We are supposed, my center is supposed to be in the 774 local governments in Nigeria. We are currently in 14 states. We are going everywhere. It's a new whole time. So we are going everywhere. We have just started. Who heard about us before? If not in this administration that people are hearing about us now, who knew that we existed before? And that's how we have just started. We must begin to deliberately put in place mechanisms for education. And we have started, and I'm glad that government has given us the permission, the accreditation, and the go-ahead to start this. So we are already linking with universities also. We have signed MOU. The best university in West Africa is a private university here in Ogun State. We are working with them now. We are working with federal investors, state investors, private investors. We are working with private institutions. Even, in fact, University of Southampton is coming here hugely on all of these. So we are embarking on massive, deliberate, formal education. And let me tell you how our education is different and sweet. It's a decolonized education. No? We are not doing education in English. Yes, whatever tribe, because,
in local languages.
It's our language. So we teach in Yoruba, we teach in Hausa, we teach in Igbo, we teach in different. Do you understand? Many of us, because of our colonial ideas, we think that those people are illiterate. We call them illiterates. Instead of saying they are illiterate in English, you just use your English colonialism to say they are illiterate. Meanwhile, you are actually the one that is a bigger illiterate than those people. Nowhere we have the best technology for setting bone in the world. And you are calling that man illiterate because he cannot speak English. You and that man who is the bigger illiterate. But you know why we are saying he is illiterate? Because he cannot speak or write in English. So now government is providing a platform. Come and study. In the course of this study, you share your experiences also with people. With documents. Documentation is the key to standardization. Do you understand? So that is how we have started a huge partnership. The biggest partnership is with Alimosho local government. We have 2-story building that they have donated to us. We have 7 hectares of land that they have donated to us. It is Alimosho local government. So wait and see.
Okay. In the words of a popular skit maker, you're doing well. Thank you so much for being on the show today. We've been talking with Professor Martins Emeje, who is a pharmacist and also the DGCE, Nigerian Natural Medicine Development Agency, NNMDA. And we're looking at the pharmaceutical industry in Nigeria, challenges and prospects of local production. Thank you so much for your time on Early Exchange. It's been wonderful, incisive, I must say.
Thank you so much. It's been quite revealing and educating having you join us.
Thank you.
Early Exchange, shaping policy, advancing development.